Ajahn, could you please explain more about the Paticcasamuppada? Thank you.
Is it not now? Or is it now? But we don't call it anything because we just talk about the reality. So Paticcasamuppada, what is it? Is it real? Is it a reality? What it's about? See, what is the first word of Paticcasamuppada? So that we understand what is meant by Paticcasamuppada, depending or reasoning. Otherwise, nothing can appear now at all. See, it talks about reality at any moment, not just one subject apart from the other subject, but each word is all about life, it's all about that which is the unknown. And from understanding each word of the Buddha, one realizes that we don't have to look for it or try to have it because it's here and now. That is the way to understand Paticcasamuppada, conditioned reality, the relationship. Without this, there cannot be that. Because of that is this, so that must be that. See, condition, all about now. So it's daily life. The first one is the ignorance now. Daily life, see, unknown. But thinking about Paticcasamuppada, far away from this moment. So there's no understanding of Paticcasamuppada. But when there is the understanding of this moment, there is the understanding of Paticcasamuppada as well. Because there is ignorance now. And what ignorance brings about? See, because of ignorance, there is what? So the world goes on, life goes on because of ignorance. If there is no understanding of ignorance, can there be the understanding of Paticcasamuppada? So when there is the understanding of reality right now, it's the beginning of understand whatever Buddha taught as Dhamma, Paticcasamuppada, Ariya Satya, Ayatana, and so on. They are not out or away from this moment at all. That's why understand Citta, Cetasika, Arupa, all about reality, which is Paticcasamuppada, depending on the others. So just talk about avijja, the first one of Paticcasamuppada. It's there now, and it conditions what? See? And when there is the understanding of this, it is the understanding of the second Paticcasamuppada, second Dhamma, which is the result of avijja. So avijja is there at each moment of what is there from waking up to the moment of falling asleep. See, is that clear? Even just a little bit. That it is now. Why do we think like this? How come to be this question? See, avijja or not? At moment of waking up, is there no avijja? Or avijja is there from then on? This is the understanding of Paticcasamuppada. Thinking with avijja, liking, doing anything, whatever, when there is no understanding, there must be ignorance, not understanding the truth of this moment. Full of avijja, more and more, while one lives when there is no understanding. Beginning to see avijja or ignorance, that is very difficult to know it. After seeing what is there, after see avijja condition what? See sankhara. And the link of the samsara begins as avijja condition sankhara, which at that moment it means cetana, which is kamma. That's why we have to study each word as it is, because there are many meanings of sankhara too. When we talk about all dhammas are sankhara dhamma, we mean not just cetana. Whatever arises is conditioned reality, is sankhara dhamma. But when we talk on the subject of Paticcasamuppada, we talk about the core that condition the life or sankhara of the world or life. So sankhara in Paticcasamuppada mean only Cetana, Cetasika. That Cetana is sankhara Dhamma, but it is sankhara in Paticcasamuppada to condition its life. So even the Cetana Cetasika, which is not Kamma yet, is sankhara Dhamma, but not by way of Paticcasamuppada.
Can you say again? I didn't get that last sentence.
That is Cetana Cetasika arising with each moment. But when we talk about Paticcasamuppada, we don't talk about Cetana which always arises with each citta, but we talk just the Kamma, that which finished, completed, to be Punyapisankhara or Apunyapisankhara or Anenchapisankhara, which will condition life in different worlds. Like banana, is it Sankhara Dhamma? When we like a banana, when we are to eat, we have banana. Is it Cetana Cetasika? There too, with loka. But that Cetana, can it be Apunyapisankhara, which will condition life, next life? But when it's completed as a Kamma, it is Cetana, which is Sankhara by way of Paticcasamuppada. Is there any question about this point? Is there Cetana now? What is there as Paticcasamuppada? This moment. And what about Cetana at moment of seeing? Is it there by way of Paticcasamuppada as well? But not the second one. What about Ajatana? Is it also Paticcasamuppada? That's why it's not just recite the Paticcasamuppada, but to understand the truth, the absolute truth, there must be a reality which is explained by different ways, but to understand that they are not self at all. So instead of trying to think about or to learn, just remember the Paticcasamuppada, there should be the understanding of Dhamma before, so that we can know that, it can be said or explained by way of Paticcasamuppada as well. So when it's not the confidence of the Buddha's word about the truth of each reality, there's not condition for right direct understanding to arise with understanding, not just arise without understanding. That cannot be satipatthana, which is understanding what is there from hearing, and the intellectual understanding is so very skillful. So the pariyatti, or the intellectual understanding, doesn't mean just remember the word and know the meaning, but understanding the truth, the reality which is taught, to understand that actually that cannot be taken for anything permanent of atta at all. For example, when we talk about Kamma, it will condition birth consciousness after death, when time comes, when it's proper, when it's ripened enough to condition that moment. We just talk about Kamma, but is it the Paticcasamuppada as well? Avijja conditions sankhara, which is kusala kamma or akusala kamma, which are punyapisankhara or apunyapisankhara or anenchapisankhara. So we can understand different degrees of adhamma. When it's just akusala citta, not akusala kamma, the akusala citta cannot condition the birth consciousness, but it is that which is accumulated to condition the way or the reality which has been accumulated to be moment of birth consciousness too. The way life is like just very complex, not easy to understand until right understanding with contact develop. Consider again and again, even just one word by all level or aspect, to understand the difference of each moment as not self. So it's not just want to understand the Paticcasamuppada directly, but to understand what the truth of Paticcasamuppada is, all about Dhammas. And they are Dhamma in daily life, each moment unknown, as it is Paticcasamuppada, Ayatana, and whatever Buddha taught in different aspects. So to understand the anatta of our Dhammas depends on the wise considering. When there is hearing about word, only a word can be studied carefully too, in order to understand the nature of that which cannot be anything or cannot be controlled the way it is. Just remember the word. Is it the understanding of the truth of it? Because the truth is at this very moment, all Dhammas are now here. So what's another meaning of citta? In order to know it, to begin to understand different aspects of it. Because you see that we talk about citta, and how can there be the understanding of different cittas right now? There is seeing, and then no understanding of seeing, but then after seeing, what's there? In a day or any time.
You mean ignorance?
To understand citta, because there is citta every moment. But when they seeing, there's not understanding of seeing yet. But what is there after seeing? It's now this moment. It's followed by thinking all the time, right? So citta is that which thinks so much in a day. And even seeing just arise in a moment only in the process. But it seems that there is seeing all the time, but there is thinking more than seeing, right? So another way we can say that the word of thought of thinking all the time about that which appears. And there's no understanding of seeing and thinking. So by way of Paticcasamuppada, avijja conditioned sankhara. But there are different levels of cetana. See, cetana arises with each moment of citta. Phassa is not the sankhara by way of Paticcasamuppada, but all realities which is conditioned by ignorance are there. But that which will condition next life, or sankhara condition what? See, avijja condition sankhara, and sankhara condition what? See, it's not just remember the word, but understand the truth of it. Even cetana is sankhara, but it has to be cetana, which is kamma. It seems like everyone knows kamma, but who knows that kamma is not self? Who knows that kamma is not just rupa or whatever, or just life, daily life, like coffee, like this or that. But cetana, which is Paticcasamuppada, must be cetana at degree of kusala kamma or akusala kamma. By way of Paticcasamuppada, the words are punya-pisankhara, apunya-pisankhara, and anencha-pisankhara, because there are different levels of cetana as well. We might have heard the three vata, circle of samsara, kilesa vata, Vipakavatta, and then what? Vipakavatta.
Kammavatta.
Yes. Kilesavatta first, and then Kammavatta, and then Vipakavatta. See? It indicates the difference between Kilesavatta and Kammavatta and Vipakavatta. So when we talk about reality, to understand it, we might not know that we are learning about Paticcasamuppada, because even understanding the truth of reality is not enough yet. So if there's not enough understanding of the truth, how can there be the understanding by way that we're taught as Paticcasamuppada, all about Dhammas now? As long as there's not enough understanding what is there now as Dhamma no self, there cannot be the understanding by way of Paticcasamuppada. But at moment of understanding it, conditioned reality, it's the beginning of understanding what Buddha taught by different ways or varieties. So when we talk about anything without understanding, it is that it will be forgotten. See, in this life or other lives, when we try to think of the Paticcasamuppada, that what conditions what conditions what, the 12 conditions, it's just trying to think about the word without understanding, right? So it is the object which is forgotten later. No understanding. But when there is understanding, it's there, little by little, to understand it when one talks about it again. So when there is the understanding of reality right now, little by little, there's no doubt about what is said in Paticcasamuppada. Avijja, conditioned sankhara, and what's meant by sankhara there, kusala kamma, akusala kamma at different levels, which condition next life. That's you need to remember what is the first Paticcasamuppada, avijja, and then sankhara, and then. So if there's not understanding just one word at a time, better and better, little by little, there cannot be the understanding of Buddha thought deeper than this. Because no matter if Paticcasamuppada is this moment and now, whether it is ayatana, it's here and now, everything is now. No matter we talk about what way Buddha teach. So when the intellect understanding is not firm enough, there cannot be condition for understanding what is there now directly with panya as not self. Is still my leg or my arm or my head. So when there's no I, can there be it's my leg or it's my arms? Because there's no I. And each word of the Buddha can be directly object of understanding of higher level from now. Thinking about just experience one object at a time, what does it really mean? One object has to be only one object. And it's not being aware of one object with understanding. What does it mean? See, is the understanding of the moment when that object appears as it is, or there is doubt. So the best way to go on study Dhamma is not to forget that it's not I, but it's only just thinking, because each moment there is I, because the reality does not appear as it is yet. That's why there are many levels of understanding. So only oneself can understand, and that is panya, which knows correctly, directly, what level of understanding of each moment of hearing or studying the word of the Buddha. And by then one realizes how much ignorance, see, the first Paticcasamuppada is there all the time. Is there any question?